So, on the holiest of days, you extinguished your jack-o'-lanterns and put away your offerings and effigies, but they returned to you, reminders of when nights were darker. Now there's a knock, and no hope remains. All gods hate a heretic, and your punishment is clawing its way inside. The party is loud, this place is unbearably hot. You're trying to go but can't find your car in the lot. Now you're back in the house. Isn't this fun? The music is swelling and there's nowhere to run. The party is loud. This place is unbearably hot. You're trying to go but can't find your car in the lot. Now you're back in the house. Isn't this fun? The music is swelling and there's nowhere to run. There are a lot of ways to sever communication, but in my experience, going through the jugular is the most effective. A summer hike on June 21st, 1984. The longest day of the year. You need every second of daylight to navigate the rocky, spindly, tree-hewn vertebrae of the Devil's Backbone. A day hike that brings you home as the sun sinks fully behind the horizon and darkness floods in around you. Eric and Cassie walked the trail multiple times, from their first date to their engagement, when he proposed while they rested on a rocky outcrop. Today's excursion marked their first anniversary. There are stories about the Devil's Backbone, just as there are stories about anywhere passing cars or a whisper shouted down by grackles and cicadas. Anywhere that dark is truly dark, with stars filling every corner of night instead of sporadic pinholes. There was always one confirmed missing person, but urban legends pushed the number into the double digits. For Eric and Cassie, this was only a place of peace. There is the trailhead. You start at the railroad tracks. The railroad hasn't run in a century, but the tracks remain. Follow them until you hit the wall of trees. A liminal space, the trail just beyond the boundary of gnarled trees and brush. Crossing the trees, the air cooled. They were there, just the two of them, clasping sweaty hands and dropping down every hour or so onto the rocky cropping to down some water, resisting the urge to douse their heads. Sweat crawled down their backs, the mosquitoes feeding on any flesh not coated in spray. They sat down for a spell to rest. He asked her how she felt. Gross, sweaty, exhausted. I love this trail. Empty as always. Just us and the ticks. Disgusting. Time for another bug spray soak. Eric laughed. We've had a time, haven't we? You know it. Seriously though, bug spray. Looking back, Eric always wondered when he noticed the change in the air. Not a chill, not a whispering wind or crack of lightning, even though clouds rumbled above them and a breeze whistled down the trail. No, it was subtle. Hair rose on his neck. An inner voice cried caution, urging him home. It was the body lying on the trail. Eric nudged Cassie and pointed. She stood. Not a person. A dog? No, too big. A bear? Hasn't been one here in a century. The figure seemed to be hair-covered, but they could make out scraps of clothing. Before she offered another suggestion, she stepped back when the body rose on 4 legs and pushed itself onto 2. Not a person, not human, but it walked like one. The sky boomed, thundering deep and cracking sharp like shattered glass. The creature stumbled, just as Eric and Cassie's minds did. They couldn't move. They were trying to understand what stood there. The creature snapped its jaw shut, a fetid stench of piss and decay wafting from it. Ears, long and thin, twitched. The creature dropped briefly onto 4 legs, convulsing and howling. It sounded like a man, guttural and raw, monster. Their minds screamed. Monster. Run, cried the reptilian part of the brain. Run. The creature lunged at them, but collapsed mere feet away. For crucial seconds, the couple was frozen, their brains struggling to understand. Rain started to fall, pattering and then hammering on them. Eric glanced back to find the creature standing, its rippling flesh shifting, like someone dropping a stone in a pond. The human aspect of the howl was lost, and only a creature remained. It roared, the strength of it punching them in the chest. Its jaw dislocated, and dropped rivulets of blood fell as multiple slivers of fangs erupted in the jaw. Eric and Cassie clambered for purchase up the slick stone and mud, trying to reach higher ground. Raindrops clouded their vision. The creature's unceasing, desperate cries grew louder, no nearer. As it closed in, its labored breathing in their ears, its feet digging into the earth. Salvation appeared ahead. A small cabin, no more than a cluster of faded boards among the trees. They headed straight for it, never mind that in all their trips on this trail they never saw it before. Unnecessary details, yet important. The creature was on their ass. Eric made it up the front stairs, but the creature landed on Cassie before he could help her. In the frenzied attack, the creature tore out a plug of her stomach. Her scream buried the wet squelch of flesh being ripped away. Eric cried out and kicked the creature, pain searing in his sore leg. It fell back far enough for Eric to yank Cassie up the steps. Eric slammed the door with his foot and quickly searched for a place to set Cassie. There was a bedroom in the back, and he gently placed her on the tattered bed. Her blood soaked the mattress quickly, and her entrails bulged in the ugly wound in her belly. There was nothing to bandage her. He stripped off his shirt to stem the bleeding. The creature, was it still outside? It could tear through the door like tissue. Why wasn't it? Their bags has the first aid kit, and they were back on the trail. Not that it would help. He talked to her, tried to calm her. No phone in the cabin. The rain abated, the woods were silent. Where did the creature go? Was it still outside? Help. He needed to get help. He kissed her, told her he loved her, and would return as soon as possible. She didn't respond. Her eyes were closed now, her breathing shallow. He could run. He could find help at the ranger station. Eric exploded out the front door and leapt over the steps. He looked back before plunging into the woods. No cabin. No. Eric stuttered, stopping. No cabin. No Cassie. No monster, he screamed. So it was. No Cassie. No monster. Only 7-year sentence. A summer hike on June 21st, 1994. Eric hit the trail as he had every day since his release. No body, no cabin, only him and his story. His family and hers blamed him, and the state agreed. Now he was free from one prison, trying to find his way out of another, hoping to find Cassie. The sky rumbled and the air felt charged. The hike. 1984. We're back, he thought. We're back here again. Eric glanced around. The woods were silent and empty, but he felt eyes on him. He halted his stride, like a deer stopping mid-step, glancing for a predator. He knew. It was there. Eric ran, down the trail as he did all those years before. Thunder rumbled in his chest, but he didn't stop, not even when the downpour came and failed to cool him. Steam escaped his mouth when he breathed. Eric coughed and wheezed when he stopped. The cabin. It was real. It happened. He didn't know how or why, but it was there, no matter how many years they told him wasn't real, to the point that he doubted. Cassie's cabin was there, a jumbled stack of rotten, dark wood. He forced air in his lungs while the rain drenched him. He stumbled to the cabin, falling to his knees and resting his hands on the first step. Here again. An electrical charge coursed through his palm from the wood. Cassie. Eric crawled up the stairs. A guttural snarl sounded from behind him. Not now, Eric whispered. With a shaking hand, he gripped the door and looked over his shoulder. The hulking figure stood in the rain, red eyes shining in the growing dark. Its ear twitched and lips pulled back. The crowded slivers of teeth glistened. The creature convulsed, skin stretching as red stripes of raw muscle appeared, the wounds twitching as it shifted from one form to another. It howled through its split jaw, each portion bending back like mandibles. The red in the eyes gave way to white. Eric rushed inside and slammed the door. He found a bolt this time and slammed it into place. Cassie. In the bedroom, he cried out her name through hitching sobs, just where he left her 10 years before. Long dead, a desiccated husk curled up on the mattress of a bare bed. Hair fallen from her skull, skin dried around an open mouth. Empty sockets, skin like thin stretched leather. Her face a frozen scream, horror etched on it. Coiled and thin like the corpse of a rat found in a crawl space. But she was still his Cassie. Eric apologized. Over and over. His screams and sobs blocked out the creatures baying outside. He crawled into the bed beside her and whispered her name. Eric traced his finger across the taut, brittle skin of her sunken cheek. "We've had a time, haven't we?" He closed his eyes. "We can have a little more." The creature crashed against the door, but the lock didn't give. He felt movement, an emptiness next to him, where a second ago there wasn't. He opened his eyes. She was sitting up, Cassie. He nearly fell out of bed getting up, and the corpse turned to him. Her eyes were white, not a color or a glow, but oblivion. No fear of Cassie, as if he expected there to be, but how could he with so much peace found in her eyes? The front door violently shook, the wood cracking, and sheets of dust dropping. He waited for her all these years, and finally found her. But their time would be short. He should panic, he should run, he should be scared. Instead, he looked at her gnarled and decayed form, the oblivion in her eyes. "I missed you." Eric left the bedroom and moved to the front door. Looking back, he watched her levitate from the bed, floating close to him. Her toes dragged on the ground. "You'll be with me when it happens, right?" he asked. The door threatened to give in under the creature's weight, splinters of wood gone, revealing utter whiteness. The windows filled with the same radiance, swallowing what night should be there. It wouldn't be the only thing it devoured, he knew. But it wouldn't happen alone, not this time. This time he refused to leave. She followed, levitated beside him. Eric stared again into oblivion of her eyes and found welcome. Side by side, he took her cold hand in his as the door splintered away, the creature's agonized roars growing louder. Eric glanced at her one more last time. "Cassie." She gently turned her head towards him. Her gnarled grip tightened and he believed she smiled. "We've had a time, haven't we?" he said. The door burst open. You look left, you look right, but you don't see the man. You look up, you look down, but you don't see the van. You kick and you scream, but you still cannot see. 'Cause you're blindfolded in a box, crossing the sea. Fine, you want a scary story? I have one. True, too. The last time I went trick-or-treating. 13 years old, and there were 4 of us. Looking back, it was clear this was the last time. But we didn't know it. Hell, the thought never occurred. All the signs were there. 3 of us stuck with the cheapest costumes we could get. I went as Ghostface, Terry as Jason Voorhees, with a glow-in-the-dark dollar store hockey mask. Doug just wore a cape and never elaborated further. But Mason? A werewolf. As he had since he was 6 years old, every year adding a new detail, an improved mask, or maybe spray gloss to give the appearance of drool. But by this Halloween, he could have walked off a movie set. He reveled in it. Kids even cried at the sight of him. We hit the town with a strategy honed to ensure the greatest haul possible. Since I lived outside the city limits in the rural wastes, my parents dropped me off in town square. Inspect the room like a starving coyote. Well, here's your prey then. Here's the missing house cat. Here's the bitch who strayed too far from her yard. Here she is, gnarled muscles and searing joints, burning scars and a shitty long-term memory. I'm carrying injuries you have gave me, all of them. I'm hardened scar tissue smoothed over, bundled in a 5/8 frame. What are you waiting for? Take a swing, old friend. You don't wait. You adjust your melted mask and your one good eye zeroes in. You stomp forward and I fake a run and give my best scream. You plunge the stage knife into my abdomen, the blade collapsing into the handle. I still double over from the force, a gut punch leaving me gasping for air. I manage to pull a thread and fake blood floods my shirt. I bite down on a capsule and red corn syrup gushes from my mouth. You twist the knife and stab over and over. There's almost a rhythm to it. My God, is that what this is? Is this as close to intimacy as you could ever come? Ha, maybe you did. I collapse. This is the gamble, that my death is enough, that the fake blood will mask the non-wounds, that you won't bother posing me. But then again, was that for you or for me? Your breathing steadies. You stand straighter. You drop the knife, which is thankfully heavy enough to clatter as one would expect on the cabin floor. You're leaving. So much of it was a performance then, all that for an audience of one. Was it good for you? Was I everything you hoped for? You've disappeared in the woods, but I'll remain here. Sleep in the red fluid on the hardwood floor, and when the sun rises, I'll get a break. Will I breathe easy? Will you? Honey, we miss you. We're so cold and alone. In our crypts and coffins, all shivering bones. Don't worry. Don't fret. We're on our way. We've made a place for you here, down in our graves. For 1 year, I would be clothed in beautiful colors and soft fabrics. I would go from a village at the periphery to living like our emperor. My feet would never, still in the upper 90s during the day, and Mason wore a long-sleeved turtleneck to school. He showed us the bruises, the finger marks around his neck. He said one of these days, he's just gonna fucking kill me, and I can't do shit. After Halloween, we noticed Haley's new truck. We noticed that while he and Mason's mom still lived in the double-wide trailer on Sand Hill Road, they had a much larger place being built in a new development on the north side. There wasn't a funeral for Mason. He did it, Doug said. He fucking did it. We were outside the video store, selecting our horror franchise for their 5 movies for $5 deal. Haley's new truck gleamed as it tore into the parking lot. He jumped out before it was even in park. Haley was off duty, in civilian clothes, and stepped awfully light for a man who lost a child 2 months earlier. He smiled at us. How you boys doing? Just talking about Mason. We sure miss him, Doug said. His voice was flat, gripping a videotape so hard its plastic case cracked. It's awful, just awful. There's some sick people in this world, Haley said. Yeah, we know, I said. Closer than we think, too. Haley stood there, his eyes flitting from each of us, then went inside the store without a word. You're right, Doug, Terry said. That fucker killed him. I'd never so much as shoplifted a candy bar, but I was the first to float the idea. Avenge our friend. Kill the bastard. Christmas was near. What better gift could we give to Mason? We knew from him how his stepdad spent his evenings, and how shit-faced he would be when the sun fell on his night off. We snuck out around midnight. I left much earlier to make the bike ride 6 miles into town. I met the crew at the park by Mason's house. Terry handed me an aluminum baseball bat. It's my brother's, so we gotta clean it up and bring it back. You ready? Doug asked. I wasn't. Neither were they. They shivered in their coats, but I'd like to think it was just the cold. We wore gloves. Terry had actual surgical gloves. Doug had dishwashing gloves. I had ski gloves. The back door was unlocked, surprisingly. You'd think a cop would lock his own doors at night. Mason's mother slept in the back bedroom. Cigarettes and the foul odor of garbage from an overflowing trash can hit hard. The air felt moist. Most lights were turned off. Only the flashing bug zapper and the glow of the TV illuminated our way. Officer Haley was sunk into a reclined armchair. Doug snuck into Mason's room. Couple seconds later, he came back and said it was untouched. Mason's Halloween costume still on the floor. I wonder now, was this due to their mourning or neglect? Doug elected to wear the werewolf mask. If I'm hitting him first, I get the mask. We didn't argue. The three of us stood side by side, looking down on Haley sleeping in his recliner. Uniform shirt unbuttoned, no pants. He wore plaid boxers with a beer can tucked between his legs, and several empties on the floor by the chair. Stirring, Haley opened his eyes. "Mason? That you?" We started hitting. My father always told me the one who wins the fight is the one who doesn't stop. So we didn't. He struggled to defend himself as the bat smashed his torso and arms. Finally, Terry's bat slammed into Haley's head with a crunch. The man slowed, waving his arms around and trying to sit up. He reminded me of my baby brother waking from a nap. I pulled the chair lever so Haley sat upright. Before he could fall, we tied him to the seat with rope and bungee cords. Terry forced open Haley's mouth. Over the past week, we collected razor blades from box cutters and shaving razors, any we could find. I shoved them in his mouth, my gloves being the thickest. When I pulled my hand back, I marveled at the white streaks of stuffing popping through the slashes in the gloves. Not even a nick on my hands, at least. But Haley gave a wet, choking cough, screaming and inhaling desperately. Doug grabbed Haley's jaw and forced him to chew. "This is for Mason," Terry sniffed, wiping away snot and tears from his face. I wanted to hit the dying bastard again. Haley sobbed, moaning, and began convulsing. He hit his head against the back of the chair over and over again. Soon his choking was drowned out by blood pouring from his lips, spraying everywhere as he tried to spit out the blades. "What are you doing?" We turned to greet Mason's mother, looking from us to her dying husband. "What are you doing?" she asked again, then again, each time louder, each time with more panic, more confusion. Doug removed his mask, sweat soaking his face. He killed Mason. No one gave out apples for Halloween. "Did you know?" Mason's mother sputtered and stared at the floor. Haley had stopped moving but continued to wheeze and choke. "Did you know?" I repeated. "No." "Yes." "No," she whispered. She sank to the floor, wiping her eyes. "I loved Mason," she said. "I loved him. I did." "Haley? Haley, honey. Did you know?" Doug said again. She just shook her head. Haley was silent. He was still. We left her there and went back to my house. While we waited for sirens or the last cop in nobility to come to the door to collect us for questioning, we came up with alibis and went over our stories until they were straight. Ended up being a waste of time since we never used them. Over the week, rumor was Officer John Haley disappeared. Went on a bender and never came back, his wife with him. They still check candy in nobility, but no one gives out apples. Of course, they never did. I still live here, rent is cheap, and I know the town like the back of my hand. Every Halloween, I sometimes see kids in costumes with fake blood around their mouths, half an apple in their hands. Some of the older folk call it tasteless, but they don't understand that through them our friend lives on. Mason is a legend. Haley's life was a chalk outline on a sidewalk, utterly washed away after its usefulness is gone, completely forgotten it was even there in the first place. As it should be. Happy Halloween, my friends. They say I'm dead, no heartbeat and no pulse. I hear them cry and sniff, the sounds muffled by the box I'm in. I'd be inclined to agree. I can't move and I am in darkness, a coffin somewhere. But I'm thinking, I'm aware. They wasted no time at all, no autopsy, and I thank God for that. They've dressed me in my finest and put me in a cardboard casket. Cardboard, oh God. The conveyor rumbles to life. The casket shifts and rumbles as it travels. I can hear, I can see, I just hope I can't feel. Baroness wanted to go to the Halloween party, the one just 2 houses down. Her entire class was going, and maybe she could make another friend? She couldn't go trick-or-treating. Her dad would be at work, and her sister was busy with her own party preparations. "You know Aaron's mom and dad? I'll be fine," Baroness begged. "I'd feel better if you just stayed home with Amelia," her dad said. "She doesn't want me here. She's just a teenager. She loves you, she just doesn't show it." "It's just down the block," Berenice said. "That van we passed on the way home, it's been cruising around this neighborhood for weeks. A block is plenty of time to snatch a kid. I'm in 3rd grade, I'm not a kid." "Sorry, hon. But don't worry, Amelia told me you'll have a great time." He'd barely left the room when Amelia, smiling, leaned towards her 8-year-old sister. "You're going to stay in your fucking room the whole night, got it? You're not ruining this party, you weirdo." Baroness nodded. The weirdo? The sad girl named after an Edgar Allan Poe character. Really, she just missed her mom. She went into her room and closed the door behind her. She exhaled and dropped onto the floor. A shadow loomed over her. "No trick-or-treating," then he asked. "You scared me." She never saw her friend Farron arrive. He was always just there, sometimes sitting on her bed, floating against the ceiling, or invisible, and only a voice, but always in her room. "Sorry." Farron shrugged. "No trick-or-treating," Berenice said. "Dad's working and he thinks a van's creepy. I can't go anywhere." "You could go to Amelia's party. It's just downstairs," Farron said. "Plus, that's a high school party. It's a big deal. Amelia would kill me." Farron started to speak when the door flew open. Amelia stomped in. "Where is it?" she screamed. "Busted," Farron said. Berenice curled up, knees to her chest, but Amelia only kicked her once before pushing her aside to look under her bed this time. Farron scooted toward the headboard. Her sister pulled out the Ouija board box. "Nothing better be missin's," Amelia said. "I just wanted," Berenice sputtered. "Just wanted what?" "To find Mom," Amelia groaned. She crouched to look her sister in the eye. "Mom is dead. God, you're pathetic." Ugh, she straightened, then left. That was hard to watch. "Are you okay?" Farron said. She took the board. "How do I contact her now?" "I told you, the one you made will work just as well." "But who cares about that? We have a party to get ready for." "You can go," Berenice said, sitting up and wiping her eyes. "But you want to go, so you should go. It will be fun. Just wait and see." Berenice uncurled and brought out a rectangle of poster board from under her bed with numbers and the alphabet scrawled on it. She also retrieved handmade cardboard planchette. Setting the board on the ground, she placed her hands on the ladder and spoke. "Mom, are you there?" She held her breath. No sign. She asked again. "She's only been dead, what, 6 months?" Farron said. "It takes time to learn to communicate. I bet your mother can barely move the indicator." Baroness placed her hands on the planchette again. "Mom, if you're there, I would really like to talk to you. It's all different now. Dad is never here. Amelia, she's so mean, Mom, and I don't know why. Are you there?" Nothing again. Berenice started to cry but stopped when ice enveloped her hand. As Farron rested his on hers, his hand moved through hers and pushed the planchette away. Berenice looked up at her friend. He held his ethereal form. She could see laugh lines, freckles on his pale skin. She swore his eyes even looked blue. But as always, his features darkened, details becoming lost until the eyes were nothing more but black splotches on a featureless face, his smile seemingly drawn in pencil. When she first stole Amelia's board and tried to contact her mom, there were no answers. The planchette never budged. She was ready to stop, to toss the board away and accept there could be no contact. Then Farron contacted her. He talked to her for weeks before he revealed himself. He understood her completely. Why couldn't talk to her dad, why she felt so lonely, why her friends couldn't relate to what she was going through. None of them understood like Farron did. "You may not have found her yet, but you found a friend. Unlike everyone else, I see how amazing you really are. Not just anyone can see me. Now, who wants to go to a Halloween party? By 9 o'clock, the house throbbed with music and laughter. The entire 10th grade class had to be in their house by now. Berenice was still on her bedroom floor trying to reach her mother. For weeks, she would ask the same questions. Mom, can you hear me? Mom, are you there? Mom, will you talk to me? Farron often arrived soon after, eager to distract Berenice with a funny story or talk about what happened at school. Now the only sound was the music coming through the walls. Farron nowhere to be found. She tried again. Mom, are you there? Nothing. Mom, can you hear me? Nothing, Mom. Then it moved. Berenice squealed. Farron materialized. You ready for the party? It moved. Berenice pointed at the board. She hears me. That's great, really great, but we better hurry or we'll miss. No, I need to talk to her. Berenice looked at her shaking heads on the planchette. I don't see anything. That doesn't mean she's not there. I would know. I mean, come on, I would know. Berenice whispered in the hopes her mother would hear. Her shaking hands making the planchette rattle softly. Come on, Farron said. If she's there, she's not going anywhere anytime soon. The party won't be. Plus I have something special for you. I want to stay. Farron threw open her closest door. He tossed out shirts and jackets, holding them up to her. Stay so you can be the weirdo who sits in her room all alone. Just like Amelia said. Just like everyone else says. Mom, I miss you. Weirdo. Loser. Loner. Listen to me. I can make it so they don't say those things. So they don't call you a future school shooter. So they like you. He nudged her, trying to push her away from the board. She's not answering. Berenice glanced over to Farron's palms resting on the board. See? I'm trying to strengthen the connection. But nothing. Mom? Come on, Farron said. Let's have some fun. Let's show them what kind of badass you are. Berenice exhaled and stood. Farron smiled and brushed the planchette to the corner of the Ouija board, then stood too. He was older than her, or was at one point. He was even kind of cute. More importantly, he was her friend. Ice shot through her arm as he pulled her to the door. She relented. She had wanted to go after all, and opened the door. Farron glanced back at the planchette, struggling across the board. Berenice went downstairs and found the house packed with people. They seemed so tall and old, basically adults. She slipped through the crowd, more of a ghost than Farron. Just like I promised, he said. We're going to have fun. What are we going to do? Berenice said. For now, Farron giggled. You're just going to enjoy the show. Farron weaved through the crowd, moving gracefully and dancing as he did. She was surprised to see he was almost as tall as them. He would point to a person and knock their drink over. He threw food to the floor. He shoved people into each other. Berenice laughed quietly from the corner as the room's mood shifted. This is how much fun we could be having all the time, Farron said, leaning against the wall beside her. What do you mean? Your friends at school? You know, the ones I caught talking behind your back? Your dad, Amelia? None of them see how amazing you are. But I have friends. Some of them who are even alive, and they would like you. Berenice, you would never have to feel lonely again. That sounds nice. Berenice watched the crowd around Amelia laughing. Her sister was the life of the party. Berenice's face scrunched up, and she clenched her fists. What else did she expect? She was Dad's favorite, so why wouldn't she be their favorite?